If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
But now keep in mind now, Ozzie did that sitting there the whole time, and he just absorbs it all. And that's the brilliance of Ozzie.
Was it easier for you hearing about a kid while you watch video, the kid that comes
Absolutely. Now, Ozzie had already done the stat. Keep in mind now, you're coaching during the season. By the time you get to, you've gone to the combine, it's still a morass of players. So I needed to sometimes listen to who they were talking to and look at the film, maybe the combine film that they had, and kind of sort through it in my mind what they were saying about this athlete.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I go any further, look up at these TV screens and look at how good Adam Jones looks with Baltimore in chest. Look at these uniforms. Look at Nick Martinez. He hasn't looked this good since the schedule magnet. Look at him in a double with that Baltimore jersey on. 36 years, I thought. 36 years to get Baltimore back in the jersey. So you guys walk out with that B on a helmet, and you don't know how it makes these people feel. All right, that's my baseball moment. Let's go back to Ozzie Newsome. All right, about Ozzie, Eric, go ahead.
No, so, Coach knows these.
I took you off track.
What we'll do is we'll just go around the room and we'll say, okay, Billick versus Parcells, Billick. Billick versus Gibbs, Billick. Billick versus Belichick, Belichick. Make a comparison. Each guy gets a vote, and I'll say, okay, Joe D, Billick versus Belichick, Belichick. Joe Ortiz, I go Billick. And so sometimes I look at Ozzie, and I don't always want to call Ozzie out, because he's watched a lot of players, so I'll just kind of say under my breath, what do you think, Ozzie? And he'll look at me and he'll go, Billick. I say, okay, so I just put Billick over Belichick. And that's the way we do it. We just make comparisons. And sometimes, the coaches have a great perspective, and, their role in the draft, I think, is often understated in Baltimore. Each organization's different. Coach has been with a couple teams. I've only been with Baltimore. But we've always included the coaches, and I think even, when I took my role on, I always felt like, just when I was a scout, I always felt like the coaches didn't like a player. Why should you draft him? Because he's not going to really, it's not going to be a great fit. So I always wanted to include, Mike Nolan or Rex Ryan or Wade Harmon in the discussions and find out the players that they really liked. And it wasn't so much that we wouldn't draft a player that the coaches didn't like, but if a coach really liked a player, I wanted to make sure that we would draft him. And there have been players over the years that, quite honestly, maybe the scouts didn't like as much, but if Chris Forster or Jim Coletto liked the guy, or whoever it was liked the guy, I was going to make sure we put the player in a sequence where we could try to get him, because I wanted the coaches to feel ownership, I wanted the coaches to coach him up, and I felt that player would have a really good chance to really maximize his potential in Baltimore.
Well, Marvin Lewis would always tell me, do you know how many times I walk down the hallway to bother Phil and Ozzie about Peter Boulware? Like, he said it was a daily occurrence for the whole month of March into April to get Peter Boulware in, and at that point he was a defensive coordinator who just wanted it. Brian, who are people that you lobbied for? Did you have a lobby in this thing, or was it more positional? I always saw he was very much an outsider on draft day.
I had to be careful. It's just what Eric's talking about. You realize that the scouts, if I walked into that room and said, boy, I really like this guy, how are the scouts? Now, that's as a head coach. I learned early as a head coach, you got to be careful of the observations you make, because one of the first things I learned was I went from a coordinator to head coach, and you'd make an observation about, gee, we ought to do this. And you'd turn around a week later and it was done. And it was, whoa, wait a minute. I was just saying, that's something we ought to think about. I didn't mean go do it right now. You have to realize that when you throw yourself out there as a head coach, then how does a scout, how does an Eric DeCosta come in and battle that? That's a lot. So I viewed my role as listening to it all. I would chip into the conversation. I really wanted to be just another voice as best I could. Most of my observations would come with Ozzie individually. Because Ozzie, because of the position he held in our relationship, Ozzie could very comfortably say, no, you're wrong, coach. This guy can't play.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.